What's up, Kryptonians? Last movie review of 2017. It's been a great year. I've reviewed a lot of good movies, a lot of shitty movies. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle is a standalone sequel to the first Jumanji, which I believe came out in 1995, 96, one of those 2 years, I'm not sure. The original had Robin Williams and Kirsten Dunst and a whole bunch of other people. This one takes place in modern day times, and it stars The Rock, it stars Kevin Hart, it stars Karen Gilliam, and it stars Jack Black. These four kids who, for different reasons, get into trouble in their high school, and they are assigned to detention. And as part of detention, they have to clean out this really dusty room that's being made into a room for computers. While they're down there, they discover a game console. The game console is called Jumanji, based off of the original Jumanji game, which I guess morphed into a game console because they're bored, so they start trying to play Jumanji. But when they start playing it, they have to pick different avatars, different characters to be in the game, and then the game sucks them inside of it. Now they're inside the game with the rules of a video game, and the only way to make it back to the real world is to beat the game. And so we have our Jumanji movie, which, holy shit, this movie wasn't that bad. How in God's name was this movie not terrible? This movie, I saw the trailers for this movie and I was just kind of like, that looks like a gigantic pile of shit. No, we're ending 2017 on a positive note because I actually really enjoyed the hell out of Jumanji. High school teenagers who each have different stereotypes attached to them. You have the lonely nerd, you have another lonely nerd who's kind of a social outcast, you have this handsome jock, and then you have this Instagram model who's like all about herself. And to see them being portrayed as The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, and Karen Gilliam, that was actually a lot of fun. It was fun because we got to see actors like The Rock and Kevin Hart kind of play against type. We got to see Jack Black being a teenage princess, basically. Like, he has to be plastic from Mean Girls. That's what Jack Black is in this movie. The Rock is usually a badass and heroic in almost every movie he's in. In this movie, he's kind of a punk. He's always the first one to run when shit's going down. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see these characters being played against type from what the actors usually do. Even Kevin Hart, I mean, yeah, there are some times in this movie where Kevin Hart feels a lot like he's just doing Kevin Hart, but you can also tell that there's a teenager somewhere in there who's, a handsome jock. He's the jock. The jock gets to be Kevin Hart in this movie. The best thing about the characters also is that they all have really good camaraderie with each other. They all really work well together. They fit. The chemistry is on point, and this also leads to some really funny and hilarious moments throughout the movie. I was laughing throughout this movie a lot more than I actually thought I would be laughing. The action sequences, they're surprisingly well shot and they're extremely well done. There's not just good CGI, there's good stunt work. I mean, there's really well put together action sequences in this film. And they're action sequences that show you the physics of a video game, and that's how it should be. This world is portrayed as a video game, so the characters are able to do things that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do, and they're able to do all kinds of awesome shit that you would do in a video game, and I thought that part was really interesting too. The levels, there are non-playable characters, there are lives that they have. I mean, there's everything that you've ever seen in a video game ever. This movie does a good job at incorporating that with the characters and giving you a really enjoyable, fun, breezy experience. One major gripe with the movie, though, it's the villain. The villain is really... why was he in here? I understand that it's a video game and you need to have a villain, but you could argue that some of the best video games are only as good as their best villain, and the villain in this movie was... why? There's a MacGuffin that he's after that the other characters have to get, and he was just really boring evil. Like, he just kind of wanted the thing because, and you don't really care all that much about the villain. Whenever they cut back to the villain and his whole I'm gonna look mean type of shit, the movie got really boring for me. Luckily, he's not in the movie as much as you would think he would be. They focus a lot on the characters and their avatars, but it just feels like whenever the villain was on screen, I was just unimpressed and waiting for something else to happen. Also say that as a video game, there are some things that you see early in the game or throughout the game that you don't necessarily see a little bit later on. There is some inconsistency with the gameplay part of the movie, and it's not a big thing, honestly, it's just a nitpick, but there are certain things I saw in the beginning that would have been cool to see later on in the film. That's all I'm saying. And Jumanji was a really fun time at the movies, guys. The characters are all great, the chemistry is great, there are some good laughs here, there are some really well done action sequences, and it does a fun job of incorporating a video game world with real life characters. So Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Welcome to the Silver Age Man of Steel portion of the show. Alright guys, like I said, that's my last movie review of 2017. Stay tuned. I will have my Justice League, my top 10 films of 2017 ready for you guys really soon. Don't miss that. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and as always, if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.